I've been willing to make a video about keyboard of this Surface Go. I made already several videos about Surface Go, but I didn't have a keyboard back then. And I did have, I scratched that. I had the keyboard, but I didn't have a cover for this. So this has let me show it to you, a different cover where the back side of the cover actually is two pieces so that uh, the stand of the surface can extend like that, so you can basically push it like this, and now this keyboard can actually remain attached to that. And there are two ways of doing it, either with this type of angle here, or if you want to have it flat like that. Now you see that it is pretty much flat, though this gives an angle and it actually looks more compact, and this is how I use it. So in other words, I guess I touched the Hearthstone button. The keyboard has at least two, actually three different magnets. The first magnet is the one that keeps it attached to this side, and it very strongly attaches. It snaps like that. There's another magnet, I guess, in this. I don't know if you can see it in this area line here that snaps. And the third magnet, which I actually discovered or paid attention to later, is so you see the monitor is on right now, and I guess there's a magnet someplace at the top, because now, as you see, the screen turned itself off. So in other words, as a proximity, I think with some sort of magnet or something, it recognizes that I just actually snapped the keyboard back to it. This is not the Alcantara one, even though the outside material is quite soft and leatherish. I don't know what this material is, though the keyboard is, this side is plasticky. And this keyboard actually has, now that I turn the screen off, it doesn't work. So the keyboard, as you see right now, has actually light, and there are three different levels of it. So this is the first level, it lights up, and if I press it again, it lights up a little bit more. And when I press it again, now it lights up the highest level. And at darkness, you can therefore see it at complete dark. The reflection, the brightness of the screen, even though the key levels, key colors are white, doesn't make everything appear very smoothly, and you can see it. But as you have just seen, I haven't touched the keyboard, and getting my last coffee sip, the keyboard turned itself off. So if I touch the keyboard again, it turns itself on again. I guess there are 5-10 seconds or something. I don't know a setting for this turning off part of thing. I thought if it were disconnected, it was doing disconnected to the outlet, it was doing it for saving battery, but now it is connected to electricity, and it will be still turning itself off. It just turned itself off. The keys are even though they are plastic, they are actually kind of soft plastic, and they have quite a nice feeling. They don't make a lot of sound. Of course, this is not a mechanical keyboard. I don't know if you can hear it. If I press it, as you see, there is actually a light that lights up for the caps lock, and there is another light for the FN. So this is a permanent FN. Normally the FN is like a secondary key for something, and you have to like press this and some press other button, but here they made a permanent FN. I think this is quite smart, the function button, because this way you can have this function button light up, and these F1, F2, F3 and such should be weighted. So right now, for example, this is the button for turning volume on and off or muting it, and it doesn't work. And if I turn off the fan, now this actually turns on and off volume. So this works like a regular key, basically attached to a regular laptop. And the touchpad, of course, now is controlling this. And let me actually minimize it and go to, let's say, YouTube. and here I can basically click on something just like in a mouse, and I am actually using a touch click here. But actually there are buttons inside the touchpad. So let me again open some website or just Firefox, and I can actually directly click on the touchpad itself. So it actually has a level here, and it recognizes both the left side and the right side. So it has left click and right click, even though these are not individual buttons but embedded within the touchpad. So now I'm going to just click on this YouTube link with my left click. I don't know if you have heard of it, so let me click it a couple of times. So for a few millimeters, I would say 2-3 millimeters at most, it actually goes down. And if I click on this actually now is the right button. So if I click on this again, it does that. If I click on this, it does that. And it also recognizes like gestures, like this tree swap should be getting me to my desktop. And now I am going back there. There should be something like this for me to I guess I'm selecting something here which I actually didn't know. So it works basically just like in a laptop or another PC. The key and the touchpad is working. In terms of typing experience, I'm not a very fast typer, but I've noticed that instead of backspace, I end up hitting this plus or equal sign. So backspace, according to when I'm typing, it is kind of further away from me than I anticipated. But other than that, and other than, of course, these up and down arrows being a bit small, I don't really have any complaint. I mean, this is a portable device. The keyboard is approximately, I guess, 200 gram, and along with the cover, now everything is like 1 kilogram. Now there are like good sides, so it basically fits very well with this tablet, and there are bad sides. So first, this comes extra, even though it's now I think on further discount, and Microsoft might soon announce maybe a successor to this, and we don't know if the same keyboard is going to be compatible with it or not. I would say even if they announce a Surface Go, it makes sense to make it compatible, but who knows what Microsoft is going to do. It should come with it, because without this, I said many times that I couldn't click on some button here, but this keyboard was necessary. There is one other drawback other than this not being free but kind of being mandatory. When I touch like with this mouse button left and right, and when I type things here, then I kind of realize that I actually no longer touch the screen. So of course this is a tablet and this is touch screen, right? I completely forget about it. So after like scrolling up, like right now I am doing it on the touchpad down, I am not scrolling by touching this screen anymore. It's like stretching my arm a little bit further, which is some extra work. In fact, this is kind of easier to do because I'm not lifting my arm a bit. Second, I'm not really, occupying some visual area with my hand like that to touch something. And third, I completely forget about it. So this now becomes just a standard laptop experience, which is it's not actually. This is actually a very portable tablet, not a laptop. And now a laptop with a tablet with a keyboard, but the touch screen, which I never had a laptop with touch screen capabilities. So this touch screen for the first time on a Windows machine, I have this tablet with is completely gone with me. So in other words, the reliance of Windows on keyboard and the mouse and touchpad, at least for my experience, makes the touch experience kind of unimportant. Yeah, so I can imagine that if you have a pen, which I don't, and or if you just wanna draw with your fingers, things like that, like make drawings on it, then it might make sense to for those people, some creators, to touch this. But otherwise, for regular usage, once you are, dealing with this, and definitely it is in many cases faster. You just basically directly go to that little button here and click that little button much faster than trying to, click it with your finger, and that my finger, even though I have small hands and narrow fingers, it is actually not easy to click on these little icons here. Um, so yeah, that's a mixed bag. Basically, it does its job. In fact, it does its job very nicely, but the drawbacks are it should have been free or very much cheaper than this. And because of the Windows operating systems experience, the touch part this time is now forgotten. So let's see what Microsoft is going to release in less than a week on October 2nd, and we'll see if there is going to be some updates to Windows to make the reliance on this keyboard a little bit less during just everyday usage, not for regular or long typing experience, but just for typing icons and such. Okay, so that's all my review for it. So in other words, other than price or the Windows experience, I think this is a very nice accessory that you have to have for a Windows machine.